All right, boys, I have something to show you.
What?
It's really disappointing and sad. But I lost another bet.
Oh my gosh.
And I have to rep this on the podcast today.
Who did you make
Wow.
that bet with?
Was it like a late night drunken bet with your
Dude,
brother-in-law?
I didn't have a single thing to drink. Give me a break.
Besides the Fireball.
Besides half a handle of Fireball.
But that's a normal night. So.
No, I didn't have a single drop to drink.
Dry
But
January.
for those of you just listening, I am donning a bright red
Gorgeous red.
Go Dogs crew neck long sleeve shirt.
Whose is it? Is it your dad's?
It belongs to my dad. Yeah.
You can't really see it that well, though. Like, could you?
I am going to have to take it off because he would get mad if I didn't just don it.
And to be honest, it's warm in here. So this.
I was wondering why you had 3 jackets on today.
I had to surprise you boys.
You look amazing in that fire engine red. Man. And I'm a Gator fan, but when something works, it works.
Might be my color.
Yeah, red is your color. For
It's
sure.
not. It's not
Yeah,
my
so
color.
I'll speak right to all of our Georgia fans out there. Congrats. I'm not going to lie, it hurts a little bit.
Did you watch the whole game?
I watched the whole game.
You stayed up so late.
It was up.
I
it
know,
was
and
a long-
surprisingly, I'm not that tired this morning. How about that?
What's it like to stay up
You got
that
coffee.
late?
Well, I've only done it a couple times, all the way to midnight.
Did you go look at the stars?
Yeah, and where I live, they're so beautiful. You know?
Honestly, though, have you caught some good night skies
Yeah.
out there?
It's
and-
usually like me and Michaela come home late at night, and we're just like, get out of the car, and we're like, whoa.
Whoa.
And then we go inside and go to sleep.
Yeah, it's nice. All right, time to go. For all of our fans, I'm not going to say listeners. It's fans. Could you say where you live? Just maybe the address.
Yeah, so I live at 222
2222.
a Big Butt Drive.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks for asking, Ethan. I live in very North Dawsonville,
Yes, you do.
and we totally didn't edit out the part where I was more specific.
Yeah, dude, this he's an open book. He's an open
Yeah,
book.
come see me.
Come and see him. Address in the show notes.
Right next to our affiliate links.
Yeah, totally. So I'm wearing this shirt.
Right.
It's painful, but I will say I'm not as sad today as I thought I'd be.
Oh.
So what else is at stake for you? You wearing the shirt?
I'm wearing this shirt and I lost $100.
Oh my gosh. It's terrible.
You could buy 20 oat milk lattes,
I could, yeah,
but now you can't.
but now I can't. So
Wow.
It's the Coffee Sometimes podcast.
Yeah, so I had to reference.
Had to talk a little bit about coffee there.
At least we checked that box.
Yeah.
So we're good there.
but no, mid-game, my dad was, when Georgia was down, was so confident in Georgia. I mean, I guess rightfully so.
Sure.
He says, you know what? I've got another 100 against you wearing a Georgia shirt if Georgia wins. So if I would have won, I would have won $200. But I
How many oat
lost.
milk lattes is that, Ethan? Just simple math. Do it real quick.
40. Wow. You would have been good for at least 3 days with how
I
many
know.
oat milk lattes you
I
drink.
suck him down. Yeah, it's this is worth $1,000 to him to have this forever on the internet.
He's so proud of you. That's why.
Yeah, that's it.
We love you, Brian.
We really do, Brian.
Can we just have a little Brian corner and say the things that he's done that have helped this business? I mean, it's kind of probably going to be the main speaking point for most of the podcast, but we might as well.
Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, well, our very first event, I have a picture of it in our orientation, actually. We set up on one of those lifetime foldable tables that you would find in a church cafeteria.
And Lifetime is not a sponsor of this podcast.
No. I mean, it could be any brand, but that one just happened to be Lifetime because we buy name brand. But that was our first event, and then we were like, Brian is a custom cabinet builder, Riley's dad, and we said, Brian, could you make us a replica of this Lifetime foldable table, but out of wood? That thing was huge.
It was crazy.
And I think, Big T, you texted me a picture of it after he was done, and it took up like your entire garage. Do you remember this?
I don't remember the picture specifically, but I am trying to find a picture of the table.
I think the first time I went to your house was to see the table.
What? Which
Yeah.
house was it?
Your sister's?
You were in the basement.
Ah,
Yeah, like the garage right there.
very nice.
Yeah, man, you got to go back pretty far to find this kind of
I'm
content.
scrolling.
He built us that table.
He built us the table, and then when we upgraded to the cart, he also built the cart that is still technically kind of in circulation in this company. It's in the other room right now, catching a vibe in the corner. And he also built our accent walnut pieces in the cafe. So the bar that people sit at by the yellow wall, the big walnut shelf, and then the elbow bar. That was all. And he framed all of our menus with walnut and made the menu box.
And donated like a lot of money to the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
How much?
Didn't he wait to the end?
Yeah, I think they waited till the end.
Because with Kickstarter, you don't get any of the money if you don't make your goal.
Yeah.
So we set our goal at 10 grand, and I guess he was waiting to put us over the edge.
Yeah, so there it is. Gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
It's a little skirt, a little cloth skirt underneath that.
So
Yeah, that's
we
right.
did that top is second, right? That was first we tried
Tile.
tile
Fake
vinyl,
tile. Yeah.
and it peeled like the Dickens.
I think we did that for a grand total of one event, right?
The Moonshine
The
Festival.
Moonshine Festival, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
One event.
Our pinnacle event. Yeah, so you can see this table has a built-in milk pitcher rinser. How about that?
Oh, man.
This event specifically was at a law firm, like a closing attorney
Like
office.
the 28th floor
on
or
like,
something?
Yeah, on a very high up.
The 15th.
That's when we peaked.
We had to use this service elevator, so all of this stuff was folded up on a utility cart and rolled to the tippity top.
Was it? I mean, I know that we brought in carts, like pushing carts later, but I think this one may have been like we put all this in
Couldn't
your Ford
afford a
Escape.
UC yet.
Yeah, 'cause-
you're totally right.
Because we're like, they're like $300.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have $300. Now we have $300 to buy as many utility carts as we want.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we've really taken advantage of that. So how many do we have?
I mean, we have 2 in this space alone.
Let alone.
There's one in the trailer or in my dad's garage where the trailer is kept. He keeps the trailer at his shop.
Yep.
Hey, keep it going.
So it looks like assets. I mean, if anybody's doing some math to know how we're doing, we have at least $900 in
Yeah.
utility push carts.
Yep.
What do you think the resale value is on those?
High.
Yeah, we could probably.
High.
It's probably
clear
above
pretty good.
300, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, with all the shortages going around right now.
Well, it's kind of like sneakers, you know. You buy them at retail and then you resell them on, what do
Because
you
you
call
can't get the same one again.
Yeah. Where do you resell them? Let's hear.
that? Is it something with an X? StockX.
StockX. You got it, man. You got
I
it.
thought you were just yanking his chain. I didn't know that was an actual thing.
Yeah,
StockX.
StockX.
This is not sponsored by StockX.
You can probably buy yourself a crossbot on there.
Are you referencing the last podcast?
Well,
Dang, son.
maybe.
We talked about this. I don't wear crossbots, and I never will.
Okay.
I just wanted that to be a good, like, spliceable piece of audio so that in, like, 6 months when I'm wearing a crossbot, someone could take
Perfect.
that out pretty easily and just be like,
Perfect.
local coffee shop owner's a liar. There you go.
He's done.
He's done. Get him out of here. Well, thanks for being so honest about your shirt and the outcome of the big sports game today. And
Last
just
night.
being a trooper. Well, he's being honest today
Sure.
about the game last night.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You got anything else cooking you want to show us on your computer?
I don't.
No,
I
YouTube?
guess.
David After the Dentist?
David After the Dentist.
So
You know-
that first episode, was that like technically our pilot episode, or is this our pilot? And
Yeah, we
also, what does pilot mean?
I don't know the definition of pilot in terms of TV. I just know that the first episode is always called pilot. I don't think we
I'll
will
tell you
ever
why.
title the episode pilot. I titled the last episode 1 David Funk.
Okay.
Wow.
The podcast that before that was like our test will be episode 0 that we will release in like 6 years to like appease the fans.
Like
you
the
know?
people that are like on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Like
Wait, this
exclusive
one's
release.
episode 0?
No, this one's episode 2.
What's episode 0?
You weren't there for episode 0.
The one with Christian?
Christian Mondesier.
Oh,
Shout out Christian. Love you.
A pilot episode, it's the word is used like a pilot light for either like a gas heater or like a gas burner. There's one light,
about that?
and then when you add fuel or money, all
Big-
of those
big
flames
flame.
come up.
Big laugh.
Are you serious?
No, that's total BS. But
I totally believed you.
that makes sense.
I definitely think that is the case.
Wow.
Wow.
Good
we
job.
we
Ethan.
want to hear from you, Hollywood. What do you think pilot means?
Yeah, Hollywood, if you're watching right now,
Hollywood.
what does pilot? 'Cause
First, we're going to expose you, and then we're going to figure out what pilot means. Hollywood.
Because Parks and Rec had a pilot, right? I feel like I remember this.
Oh, they all had pilots.
They all have pilots. Okay.
I think episode 1 is often called the pilot episode.
Okay.
Which you watch back to those shows like Parks and Rec and The Office, and episode 1 is just so rough.
It's always so conservative.
Yeah.
No one is blowing up characters for their
Yeah.
potential. It's all just like very
Everyone is a normal person.
saying their lines.
And then by season 3, you just have like absolute insanity.
Right. Well, I was actually just talking to a friend. I have multiple friends about. I love the hit NBC TV show The Office, but one of my biggest qualms with it is the development of Kevin, the character, because he starts so normal, but then they literally turn him into like a mentally handicapped person that like talks in an insane fashion and does like the craziest things. And I mean, obviously, hilarity ensues, but
But all of a sudden, he's spilling beans on the floor.
Yeah, he's dropping the chili.
Well, you know the theory, right? Why everyone gets absolutely crazy?
Whoa, is it like a gas leak or something?
It's a radon.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Toby's always talking about like testing radon,
Yeah.
and the
Michael.
theory is like, I mean, he's like tested maybe one time in one episode, and he basically says it's high or something, or that they need to really be on top of checking it. So the theory is that the radon is just deteriorating all of their brains.
Oh my gosh! I mean, that checks out.
And maybe like Jim and Pam, they've been like out of the office. Like Pam went to art school, Jim's in Philly towards the end, so it's like a little bit less with them. But especially the people who are just like there grinding every single day are just losing it.
What do you think?
Man,
As the world's biggest Office lover.
well, I'm a big conspiracy theory guy.
Yeah.
So I love this kind of stuff.
Like, yeah,
I
right
mean,
on.
especially fictional conspiracy theories. Like that's the kind of stuff when I go home, it's 11 p.m. Kids down, like
Finally, you're like, finally get to look at my phone.
I'm going with my boys on Reddit. We're talking about fictional conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
We all have our thing.
Yeah, come on. Can we talk about a couple of things real quick? Do you mind? Is there space for that?
Let me think about it. Yes.
I think we talk. Yeah.
I know this is maybe just for video viewers here, but I noticed you chose a really eclectic set of mugs to drink coffee out of. Could you tell us what coffee we're drinking and maybe a little
about each mug.
just a little something.
Certainly. Well, I'll start with Riley's mug. Riley, if you wouldn't mind just holding that up. So that's the classic Valor smiley logo, which was
The Bobby.
that logo was designed by one Matt Power. Matt Power, if you're listening,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't believe you're listening.
Yeah,
back- you're awesome.
Get back to work, dude.
Yeah.
They're moving to LA.
Really?
Aw.
They want to change the subject, but congratulations.
Congrats, guys. Seriously,
We're happy for
you made it.
West Coast.
He designed that logo as a potential logo for a hat. Because, when you get a design, they give you like 3 or 4 designs to choose from.
Iterations is
Thank
what we
you.
call that in the industry.
Heard. Okay.
I think alterations is what you're looking for.
Well,
Yeah, which alteration are you going for on this one? And it ended up being like our main logo for the longest time, and it's on our door right now. And second is
Don't touch my mug.
okay. Sorry, did you want to hold it?
Yeah.
So that is the Valor mountain logo that we started off with, which was designed by Wes Montgomery, old friend of
Wes,
ours.
if you're listening, thank you.
Locust
how's
years.
Brazil?
He
Yeah,
lives in Brazil?
Dude's
Yeah.
in Brazil.
Poor K.
He married
on,
a
man.
gal he met from Brazil, and they moved to Brazil. That's all I know. Wes, I'm sorry if I'm telling the story wrong.
We'll
I just
have,
heard
you
it
on,
through the
we'll have you
grapevine.
on for the podcast.
Yeah,
to
we'll
tell
fly
all.
him in. We'll
Yeah.
fly him in. Spare no expense.
We'll fly
but
anyone in.
that's right.
With our utility cart money. Just sell one of those, get a plane ticket.
So this was our first logo. This one right here. And then this mug is the Ross and Rachel. My wife's name is Rachel, in case you didn't know. It's from our wedding. It was our wedding favors. And the funny thing about this mug is that
I'm dead.
my mother and father-in-law, bought copious amounts of them. And so everybody has one of these. And the reach has gone so far that my wife was on Facebook Marketplace one day, and she saw someone list one of these mugs on Facebook Marketplace, like someone she didn't know. And the description said, Ross and Rachel reunion mug, like from Friends. So they thrifted. Okay, first of all, someone went to our wedding, got the party favor.
We know who you are.
They gave it to Goodwill. Like,
Monsters.
why?
Or it's probably in Dawsonville, so it's probably like Abba House.
Sure.
Let's be clear.
Sure.
Thank you.
So they gave it to whatever thrift store. Someone went to the thrift store, picked that Ross and Rachel mug up, and was like, I'm going to sell this thing for a profit on Facebook Marketplace because Ross and Rachel, someone's going to like Friends. But obviously, it's not from Friends. That's the story.
Did she even consider buying it for a moment? Do you know if you...
Rachel did?
Yeah.
Well, again, we have 3 or 4,
I think she actually posted it on her Instagram story and said, like, haha, this is funny. And then in small text at the bottom, she said, but seriously, which one of you MFers donated this?
I'm going to find you.
And to be clear, she did say MFers.
Yeah, she did not use the full word
Yeah.
spelled out.
No way.
Thank goodness.
I think the listing said something along the lines of like, yeah, they misspelled Rachel's name.
Yes.
And I don't understand the date or something like that.
Right.
So it was just like they totally knew it wasn't, but they were trying to make $6.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of my favorite stories from my life. It is a delicious story.
Yum yum.
And we are drinking our flagship blend, Free Throw, by the way, since you asked.
I did. What's in it right now? Does anyone know? Or is it just like kitchen sink?
Yeah, I think there is actually like a coffee from Bellwood in there.
Bellwood, Portrait,
Yeah.
Perk.
We just bought all their coffee and threw it in there. So thanks, guys. You're doing great work. It's tasting really good.
Tastes great.
On that note, I heard that you visited JP's pop-up.
How'd you figure that one out, dude? I'm off the grid.
JP told me.
When did JP tell you? Did you go?
Me and JP talk.
You kidding me?
You jealous?
I'm very jealous. He's a great guy to talk to.
Yeah.
He's really been like in our lives for a long time.
Yeah.
Nice man, JP McKenzie, started a coffee pop-up in, it's probably an hour northeast of here in a town called Gainesville, Georgia. Meadowlark Coffee.
Cool.
Yep, they're working. I think he still works with Bellwood. And
Nice.
uses their coffee at their Guatemalan Hunapu on Espresso.
Yes, sir.
It was great.
Nice.
Super good. Chocolatey, grapey, bright. And the cool thing about the experience, let's just get down to it. He made a flavor, a syrup. You're like, oh wow, someone makes a flavor. Big whoop.
Womp womp.
He made like a spicy one. So I mean, it had like orange, cardamom, and then Sichuan peppers, like the numbing
Yo.
Dang,
pepper.
son.
What?
I know. And I was like, is this just like eye candy, like curb appeal? Like you just say it's in there and then you drink it and you're like, this is just another
Simple syrup.
simple syrup, like flavored latte. But no, it held up. It was citrusy. It was spicy. It was like even a little numbing. Not like bad numb,
But in like a cool numb.
in a very cool, like progressive numb.
vibey numb.
Yeah, vibey numb. Yeah, killer. I think I love that model that I didn't even, they were like, yeah, we just love what Valor was doing and we felt called to do something similar. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it's like this concept of being in a not big city, but providing top tier specialty coffee, amazing service, like personal touch stuff, but in like a small town, like a not big town.
Love it.
Yeah.
Gainesville hurting for that too.
Hurting.
Oh, yeah.
Hurting. No shade to Inman Perk, okay, but they're just one. They're just one.
Need more. Always need more.
Oh, yeah. Higher tides lift all boats. I just made that up. I didn't make that up.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
Very profound.
yeah, it was awesome. It was super cool. Him and his wife and their little baby Larkin are all 10 out of 10 precious.
Was the baby there?
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking
That's
about
awesome.
like him getting a partner, and I was like, look no further. Your baby's right there. Put the baby behind the bar. Might not make as many drinks, but
Baby behind the bar.
I mean, yeah, everybody's got to have their like purple cow. Like
Yeah.
There's a-
Seth Godin.
there's
if you're
a baby
watching.
behind the bar.
Probably got that book on that bookshelf. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
looking at it right
It's
now.
Right there.
Whew.
This is not
Gorgeous.
I
sponsored.
read 1/3 of it.
It's the best there. Well, no, we don't have to get into a book critique, but it was one of those books where I was like, you get it, like you get the idea, and then but you still have to fill up a book,
Yeah.
and so it's just like I'm gonna say the same thing in a different way.
Still impactful though. I think about it.
Nonetheless, let alone,
Let alone that.
let alone. But yeah, Meadowlark Coffee, go check it out. I don't know, they're doing like pop-ups. They're not like, they haven't gotten their groove yet. I think they're in like the phase
Maybe.
where, yeah, I think in due time they should be finding their spot.
I hate to tell all, but JP and I he messaged me and
Via what?
Instagram.
What's up with that? Does he not have your number?
I don't think he does. He does now because he's
Okay.
going to call me on Wednesday. We're going to talk
Wow.
just about,
Yeah.
what's up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about his operation. And yeah,
I love that.
me too.
I think I doubt I said anything. That,
Sorry to tell all, JP.
No, well, yeah, as it's anytime people start asking me about Valor and like framework and structure, I'm always like I can get so far, but then I'm like you're gonna want to talk to Riley.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm sure I said it at some point, and I'm not. That's probably not why he's reaching out to you. But I was just like, you cut up, you talk, you like talk about how things are going. But if someone wants the nitty gritty, I mean, that's where you come in, man. You make this place operate.
I mean, I guess. I feel like they go to you to talk about the sexy stuff,
Yeah, I'm like, what clothes are you gonna wear while you work?
Like, how do you make the mocha syrup?
Right. Right. How many crossbods can you wear at one time behind the bar?
Yeah.
What about an apron and a crossbod?
Is that redundant?
Utility to the max.
Can you stick things in the fold of your teeny beanie and like have some function? Yes.
Like
absolutely.
the guy from Bon Appetit, like he's putting a Sharpie in that teeny beanie.
Brad Leone,
Yes.
Oh,
the guy from Bon Appetit.
come on.
Come on, Ross.
Brad, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry that
We'll fly out.
we messaged you
Sell
asking.
another utility cart.
Yeah, we messaged you, Brad Leone, asking if you
Now we're
wanted
down
us
to one.
to send you free coffee, and you said yes, absolutely. That'd be awesome. And then we said, okay, what's a good address for you? And then you didn't reply.
He said crickets.
He said crickets?
Yeah. I was like, what? Cricket? Like the sport?
It's like, no, we don't play, and we like it.
We would if,
That's a true
if you
story.
wanted to play, Brad.
Right. Anything for you, Brad. I just want to know, like, just off the top of your head, who's someone you'd want to have on here for both of you guys.
Easy.
Go ahead.
Charles and Joel Norman.
Well, that's
easy.
something we are like gonna do.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna do.
Like that's too easy. Like we don't even have to
like
ask
you guys
you
are.
guys.
I mean, you're like
You're already
C
knocking
tier.
down our door.
Yeah. Like we're. No, I don't got nothing.
Joel and Charles are not knocking.
But
down
I'm saying
our
like
door.
Brad Leone level. Like it's not
Okay,
out of
okay.
this world. It could happen.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to like, get a little notoriety, maybe a sponsor or two, Lifetime table. They're looking at you. You got to get sponsor money, But
What about Brian Westbrook's cabinet business? Would he sponsor us?
We could probably make something happen there.
That's two
that's like the
sponsors.
worst thing for him. He
Hey,
does.
we do have one sponsor right now. If we want to talk about it really quick,
Yeah. I mean, what is
this
it?
podcast is sponsored by us, Valor Coffee.
Wow.
How about that?
Is that how it works? We sponsor this.
I mean, we can easily plug ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, what isn't there to plug?
I can think of a couple things.
This is sponsored by Valor Coffee, but it's the Valor Coffee podcast. But it's not called the Valor Coffee podcast,
Well, it's called Coffee Sometimes with Valor Coffee.
right? Sure. Okay, yeah, I'm checking. What's your answer, man?
Man.
You've already had David Funk on, so
Yeah. I mean, where do you go from there?
we could just hit
You know.
all the Christian worship leaders.
Yeah. I mean,
What a dream.
could talk about.
I'm sure they all have something to say about coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, talking about Christian worship leaders real quick. You know the one person that busted my chops about the game last night?
Who?
Zach effing Smith. Texts me at midnight. And he's like, what'd he say? I won't read what he said. It's probably explicit.
Wow.
He actually sent me a slightly insulting text last night as well, unrelated to the game.
He's in a tizzy or something.
I don't know what. I mean, I needed to check up on him.
Zach, if you want to call in now's a good time to.
He was just making fun of me losing my bet to my dad
Wow.
because he's salty because he won.
Did you learn something? Do you keep your bets to yourself now, or
No, I'm not embarrassed.
That's part of the fun. you know?
Yeah.
it's like, hey, everyone, listen, I made a bet,
Yeah.
and it kind of keeps it in the light, so it probably keeps the nasty habit from forming.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the nasty habit.
Yeah.
That's good.
Hey, I asked a question and I want an answer.
Honestly, the first person I thought of was someone who's had us on their podcast before, Chris Baca.
Right.
Which what was he even on that podcast?
It was Alex.
Alex
was
Mars
Alex.
from
Hey,
Cat
Mars.
and Cloud.
We got to get him on it too.
Yeah.
That would be
Oh, yeah.
unjust.
Yeah, I thought about.
I don't think Alex is with Cat and Cloud anymore.
Oh no, he's not.
I think he lives in New Orleans now, right?
That sounds right.
I think I saw that on Cat and
Flights are
Cloud's
cheaper.
Instagram. That's true.
So
Yeah.
we fly him out.
Sell half a utility cart.
Yeah, rent. We can rent
Yeah, there we go.
that one. What's he doing?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want me to look him up?
It's all right.
You want me to call him? We can do a live call.
Yeah, he called me on my wedding day. Super random. Him and Chris on my wedding day.
That's nice.
They didn't know, but I was on a 6-hour drive to the honeymoon destination, and
Dewberry.
the Dewberry, and I was like, I'll take the call. Sure. Hey, what's up, guys? And they're like, why are you talking to us on your wedding day? And I was like, we're just driving. I don't know. And That is the story.
For people who don't know, Chris Baca and Alex Mars, these people, they are from Cat and Cloud Coffee in Santa Cruz, California.
Coffee
And I don't know if we'd be sitting here, boys, without them. Because, they've had a coffee podcast for a long time. And it was very, very influential to us starting out. So much of our culture and our values was inspired by them. And so we used their coffee before we started roasting our own coffee.
There you go.
What's your answer, Ethan? Who'd you like to have on? Like dream
He's like Brad Leone.
dream scenario.
I mean, that's kind of my answer, but if I guess I'll get two answers. I don't know if it'd be fun. It'd be cool to chop it up with like a Ford Fry or a Danny Meyer.
Yeah.
Almost like a hospitality legend.
Yeah.
Older than us, more successful than us.
Ford might be obtainable, right?
Oh, yeah.
He lives
close.
close to here.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ford's in our back pocket.
Oh yeah. My answer was gonna be Sean Brock.
Really?
So we're pretty calibrated on that.
I mean, we could probably get that through Chef
Yeah,
T.
there we go.
Well, yeah. I mean, so much of our culture for Valor was shaped from the culinary side of things. Like, Setting the Table by Danny Meyer, huge book for us.
Huge.
That more just curated experience of a restaurant is, so it'd be good to have some chefs on here.
How about Horst Schultz? Is that his name?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ritz-Carlton.
I know NCF has some connections there. Get him in the space.
Really?
He always speaks at like their conference in Florida.
Well, maybe we'll have to go to him
Yeah,
mid-conference.
we'll fly out.
Yeah. On the utility cart.
I think it would be kind of fun to look at some of the answers that people wrote in for, we talked about doing a podcast, did a little, not a poll on Instagram, but what do you call that? You post a story and
A fill in your answer type of thing.
yeah, we said,
I
hey,
got it here.
we might start a podcast. 1, would you guys even want that? And 2, what would you want us to talk about? And we got so much.
So much.
So much responses from people, and maybe we could hit one of them real quick.
How about this? I'm gonna read them all. There's like 30.
You have them?
Yeah. I actually had them up last time with David too, as like if things start to go south, say something. But thank goodness.
Sorry, David.
Sorry, David.
Ethan's got insurance. Ethan's bit on the last podcast was probably 45 times you said, all right, let's just wrap this thing.
I said that.
Yes.
It was like legit, like 4 or 5 times.
So 4 to 5 means 45.
The first 3, I think you were kidding.
I'm offended.
And then the last 3, I think you were serious.
Now it's 6. Hey, we want to hear from you. What's your answer? How many times did I say, let's wrap?
Yeah. Comment below.
Comment below with your numbers.
Can I ask you how you're accessing this? You know how to log into Instagram?
No.
You recorded what I told you?
Yeah, we had that meeting.
Oh, okay.
Because just to go back, a huge 2 weeks, we were like, should we start a podcast? Like 2 weeks ago, right? I mean, it wasn't long.
It was legitimately probably 2 weeks ago.
And so then you put that thing out, and then we had a meeting, and we were like, do we do this? And then you asked the world, what would we talk about? And then you gave me your phone, and I just wrote it all down. So, further ado, I'm going to read it all, and then whatever speaks to you guys, whatever like really grabs you, we can, why don't we stop? Not stop, but
Come back to it.
yeah, circle back. Business lingo, circle back. Okay. Funny stories. Tips for starting a coffee shop. Living with purpose, organizing goals, creating the life you want. Is Matt Ryan the problem? No. How to help
That was Taylor
others.
Jarvis.
Thank you, Taylor. How to help others. Comedy gold. Mukbang.
What?
Remember we covered this? It's like the eating food stuff. People eat food on camera.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You might have to break that one down because we're not in. But
I'm in.
you love
You're
that
inner than
stuff,
we are.
dude.
I thought you were in.
No.
You're the one that knows all the Gen Z.
Ethan
Terms.
is like boots on the ground in because he's around young people all the time. I mean, I'm 25, so I'm really young. But and then
Younger.
Big T is more in on the
Memes.
the memes and the internet side of things. And then I'm a dad.
You're out. You're just flat out.
I'm out.
Mukbang, buy-in from employees, how to own coffee shop, cafe non-negotiables, like standards, aligned priorities, how we pick roasts, or like I guess maybe sourcing coffee, how you make different flavors, advice session. We just have like a raw advice episode where it's like, you should do this. Don't
You shouldn't
don't
do
do
this.
this.
Yeah.
Think about doing this. Do not think about doing this. Make coffee at home. House sourcing. This is obviously me making it smaller. Values. How you uplift people through coffee. That's nice. What's it like to be us?
Well, I think day in the life was one.
Okay.
Maybe that's how you translated writing that down.
Yeah, no ego check there. That's what. Okay. Mistakes, views on leadership, starting a business while still being a baby. Day in the life. So maybe someone did want to know what it's like to be us.
Yeah,
So
great.
you want to rescind your prior comment?
Rescinded.
Accepted. Yeah. What? Anything? Was anything like yes? You can't look again.
All of them are yes. I feel like most of that is just like will be the continuation of the saga of this podcast that is a tapestry on the world.
Yeah, this podcast really is like a tapestry
Yeah.
My goodness.
in so many ways.
Let's just wrap there, after that.
Yeah,
comment.
let's wrap.
let's wrap.
No, let's wrap now.
Oh. Okay. Well, I can talk about it. Well, so one of the first ones was tips for starting a coffee shop. Okay. Yeah. We're following. Last night, I had dinner with some people that wanted to start a coffee shop.
So this is so fresh on your mind.
Yeah, it's pretty fresh. These things are a little more, there's a couple practicals and there's a couple like,
Intangibles.
yeah, meta things. This is sponsored by Meta.
I wish.
I do not wish.
Oh, okay.
We will not.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We will.
Sounds like we don't have aligned values right now.
Well, we can touch on that next
talk
week.
later.
Yeah.
After the podcast.
So
off here.
yeah. So I as you guys probably know, and I've said this definitely to you and maybe to you, I'm not very gifted. I don't default to like monologuing or like sharing for maybe over like 30 seconds. Like if I hit like 30 seconds of I know I'm still talking, I'm like, nobody cares.
And
So
especially
this dinner was a little tough for you.
Yeah, it was hard.
Where'd you guys eat?
My house.
Oh wow.
That's
sweet.
why go out? We hadn't met these. Or I mean, I knew them from the cafe, and that's about it. And Meredith went to school with the guy growing up, but yeah, I had him over to the house. Made some curry. It wasn't that good.
Aw.
Isn't that a bummer? You ever have someone over and you cook and you're like, I can't believe I just like 4 out of 10 this meal when I usually like 7 out of 10, like a throw together meal. Does that ever happen to you guys?
I think you just have people over a significant amount more than I do.
Well, I got to get you over to the house. A real sore spot between me and this guy here is that we live really far away, and we just we haven't made that bridge. Haven't bridged that gap yet, huh?
You haven't bridged the gap. Let's be clear. Because you've been to my place. I haven't been to your place.
I've been to your place 1 time, 2
All right.
times. All right.
Okay.
tips for starting a coffee shop. Come on, boys.
You know what? No.
I think we need to suss this out.
Yeah. Well, we'll have like a just you and you know how
Yes.
sometimes one of them's not there in a podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
that dynamic will be awesome.
Legend.
Like when
Like,
me and you
like
do that
let's,
Big T.
Like, let's get Ross out of here. You know?
Yeah, like sooner than later. So yeah, had them over for dinner.
Just kidding, Ross.
They had like a lot of big questions and like pretty practical questions too, but it was like some weird pressure that it was just like me talking a lot. And I still had like I'd hit that 30-second mark so many times and be like, why am I still talking? Nobody wants to hear this. But my supportive, loving wife was like, it's okay. You should let them know. You should answer their questions.
You're just like spooning curry into your mouth.
Here's the thing that you need to do. Don't do this. Do this. No, I tried to. I eat very quickly, as we all know, and I didn't really go back for seconds.
You inhale
Because
food.
the curry was a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, because there's a 4 out of 10. I looked
Did
over.
they go back for seconds?
Nobody went back for seconds. I made a pretty good salad, though. The salad was 100% consumed, but now I have like 3 meals worth of curry in my fridge.
I'll eat some.
Yeah, I should have brought it.
Yeah, you should have.
We can go over to Mountain Park and check it out.
Is there a cover charge?
Hey, next podcast.
That's a sore subject too.
But I'm just trying to think some of the things, and you know, when you start talking and you share, like sometimes things get put into perspective and into the light for you even.
Oh, yeah.
You learn some things, and
It's like a short-term mission trip.
yeah, they got something out of it. I got something out of it.
Yep.
And I paid $3,000 to do it, you know?
That's right.
But yeah, we talked for a while and it was really sweet and I'm excited for them. I hope they pursue their dreams and do it. But some really tangible tips, something that we talked about, and please bounce off of this when I get rolling here, because this train's not going to stop anytime soon. I was like, one thing that was always really important to us was creating a model and a business where a person wasn't alone. That sounds so small, but when you're talking about like carrying a culture and like representing a brand in your space, it's so much harder to do that and fulfill that when you're alone at work. Just you're a lot more susceptible to the atmosphere of guests, or like honestly just endurance of spirit. Like it's just harder to pursue something by yourself. And when you're thinking about starting something, you always are like, well, I want to start it really small and I'll just do it. Or like my wife will do it and then we'll switch off. And it's like, yeah, I totally get that. And there maybe even be times for that. And there was times for us when we had to do that. But it was so much harder and harder to like carry out our mission, our vision, our values when you're alone. So it's like, you know, I would try to do it in a way that you can have multiple people on it at a time. For some people that sounds risky or challenging or not worth it. But I think in our vast experience, I would always say it's worth it.
Absolutely. It's really easy to forget things like that. And I think that's a good point to you saying once you start talking about it, you really remind yourself. And it's funny because we always wanted that for our employees and our people to never have to go at it alone. And but looking back, think about how many times you were behind the bar when our cart was in Thrive alone. And that's a great depiction of one of our values. Anyone?
Think ahead.
Better together?
Yes and yes. But especially thinking ahead, we knew we had to do it or we just couldn't float the boat.
Yep.
We knew that we had to be the one person behind the bar who really had to go to the bathroom, and you just like can't go because you have a line or you don't want to leave your post. But the fact that we were able to look towards that end goal of never having to just like be behind the bar sad, never have to open alone. never have to close a loan because it's going to save Valor, what, a few dollars in labor? More than a few dollars, just to be clear. But multiple dollars.
I feel like
That's
also
a very good tip, Ethan.
yeah, and
Small but mighty.
going off of that, I think when you're first starting out, like I've seen some people start businesses, and when you talk about the ownership split, like some people, like you said, just want to do it alone, or husband and wife or whatever. That's one way to do it. But I've also seen, too many people split up equity from the beginning too. And so you end up starting a coffee company and like you're trying to pay like 5 people's salaries in the future. Like that's tough.
Yeah, like we totally like we hit it right with 3 people owning a coffee shop.
Well, I think 3 people is a great number, depending on what you want to do. Because
If you want to make a lot of money, no.
Right.
But if you're starting a business to make a lot of money, then maybe you should check yourself.
Wow. Don't pick coffee.
To only make a lot of money. Like you can start a business to make a lot of money. That's cool.
Super cool.
Really cool.
Money's awesome.
But
if you are just one person, though, starting a coffee shop, then you have to have employees under you that are going to be behind the bar, and you're going to have to pay them an hourly rate plus tips. But if you have 3 owners like we did, like we were all just doing it. Like there was a long time before we made any money. And so there was just that shared ownership and that shared sacrifice, which led to us being able to make a better environment for our employees once we actually hired them, I feel like.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with that?
I would totally agree.
100%.
Setting the table, setting the standards.
Yeah.
And learning what not to do. Going out there and leading by example, you trailblaze in a sense. And yeah, you're able to let someone come behind you instead of like pushing.
Trailblaze is like if you have a crush on someone on your cross
while
country
you're hiking
team.
the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Either
or
one.
cross country.
Either one. Yeah.
it's all true.
Text us your trailblaze at 555.
Valentine's Day's coming up, guys.
So I'm thinking that was a practical tip. A meta tip was like, I don't even think I said this explicitly, but almost this: don't look around at the other coffee shops and just do that. And it sounds super obvious, but it's like you have a dream to do this for a reason. And then there's that really hard, it's hard for some people, but that transition of how do you put things around, like a model around a dream. It's like, think of a dream like a cloud, and then you have to like build a box to put your dream in a sense, as in like, we're going to open in this area. We're going to be open for this long. We're going to serve these products, and all of these are going to help fulfill the dream. So when you're building the model, don't be so keen to just pick up whatever someone else is doing. So, for example, like in the area they want to open, there's a shop open till like midnight. That's the only other coffee shop, and they're like, should we be open from 5 a.m. to midnight? Well, I don't know. Do you want to be? Is that what? No one's saying you have to be open 7 days a week for 16, 17 hours. So just, yeah, don't be so sensitive to industry standards, basically. And this thing will only work if it's fulfilling your deep desires as like what you want a business to be, because you're going to be the one that has to go in when people are sick and fix the things when they're all broken at 2 a.m., like, and in those moments, like, was it worth it? So building something worth sticking around for, I think is huge. So that's a little heady, but I thought still something good to hear for somebody who's like hasn't done a coffee shop before. It's like, okay, so we just open the normal times everyone else is
Yep.
open and serve the same things everyone else is serving. What value do you think of when I'm saying that?
Challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also goes into, there was a time when the three of us sat down and had a really important conversation that I think about sometimes, and it was like, "Yo, is this our main thing or not? Like, is this because we all cut college a little short to start this company?"
All right, Ethan, say what you want to say.
I have an associate's degree and they don't. They dropped out and I got a 2-year degree. So I didn't technically drop out. I'm a college graduate.
Yeah, so one of us graduated college.
Big degree.
Totally graduated.
I took one journalism class and I have a journalism degree. So
That's why you're so good at that kind of stuff.
yeah. If anyone needs journalism tips, you can follow my Tumblr for more.
Like you're helping Meredith with her copy all the time.
I basically do her job. Yeah. My wife's a writer and I'm just like, dude,
Let me see this.
I have a degree.
Like hand the laptop over here.
Yeah. I know you have an English degree, but I have an associate's in journalism degree. So
We cut college short to do this thing, and there was a point in which we were like, "Yes, we are committing to do this." Like, we don't really have a plan B necessarily that we're like ready to jump on. Like, we are going to do whatever we have to do, more or less within reason, to make this our career. And I think that is something that's also really important for people starting any company, but specifically coffee, are the people you're doing it with as committed as you are? And if they're not, it's not that they suck as a person. It's just that they want to do something else. And it's so important to know that, because there were so many moments of hard times, like days in the pop-up where we would just make like $100 and like clearly not enough to pay 3 people. But it's like, we were able to look at each other at the end of the day and be like, we're in this together. Mm-hmm. And also like for our spouses to be so supportive. Like, I can't imagine what starting Valor would have been like if Rachel wasn't supporting me through it. I feel like that's one of the more obvious things to consider, but maybe you wouldn't talk about it super obviously.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the things I hate to see the most is when a business has partners and one of them leaves, but their company structure isn't laid out to where there's a vesting schedule or something like that. And then this one partner is like, I'm not going to be a part of this business anymore, and they retain their equity. Seen it too many times. It's a bummer.
Do you want to just 10-second explain vesting schedule?
Yeah. So when you start a company, it's always a good idea. And a lot of times this happens, especially in the corporate world, when they bring an employee on underneath like a contract. We're talking owners here, but I'll just give a more surface level example. Big corporation hires employee. Employee is given stock as compensation, but especially if they're on like an executive level position, given stock in the corporation, but they only get the stock if they work there for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. So,
and it typically grows over time, right? It's not like 0 to 100.
Yeah, exactly. It's say if they have been there for 1 year, they get
1%
blank shares. 2 years, blank shares. So in our instance, I mean, we had one and it was like on my computer. We never really looked at it, and we are all well vested at this point because we've been going for years.
So many vests.
How about that? But an example was, because we're all equal partners, so 33%. I think after year 1, we each had 11%. After year 2, we each had 22%. After year 3, we had 33%. So make sure to do that. I mean, that's just a big part of sweat equity, that you should have to put in the work to do it. And if it was up to me going back, we would have done it for an even longer period of time than 3 years. If you plan for your company to be around for decades, then, do 5 or 7 or something like that, so that someone can't back out and not necessarily burn you.
No.
But I mean, you probably, I don't know, if you're starting with a business with someone, then you probably care about that person. So for them to have a percentage isn't the end of the world. But if it was the 3 of us and we all had 32%, and then a year later I back out of the business and I have the same amount of equity and thus probably the same amount of distribution as you guys forever, that's just not super fair.
And there's a difference between equity and, monthly salary, because, we've talked about before, like between the 3 of us, we are committing, minimum 40 hours a week to this business. And if there ever reaches a point where we want to do something else, then we can still maintain equity. But our salary doesn't necessarily have to be the same as the other owners, because the salary is more based on the day-to-day workload, and the equity is more based on the position and the history with the company and the sweat, like you said so far. Mostly sweat-based stuff.
I just bought a shirt at a thrift store that said "No one ever drowned in sweat."
Wow.
From Stockbridge High School.
It's very interesting.
That's profound.
Yeah.
And true, maybe.
I mean, I get it, but I guess I don't get the point it was trying to make.
No one ever drowned in sweat.
Don't ever stop sweating.
Yeah.
Don't wear deodorant.
But
That's the message.
why is drowning the fear? Just because sweat is liquid?
Are you looking for a literal, do you get the idea of it?
I mean, I get
Kinda.
the overall idea. Okay, it's fine.
No, I get it. I saw it. I just thought it was funny.
I love that you have the shirt.
You bought it.
Hey, if you tune in next week, I will be wearing the shirt.
you
That and a
promise?
crossbody.
Honestly, if I wore a crossbody with that, it would be
A
cool.
mood.
It'd be a mood. Because it's a weird green shirt, tiger.
I'm gonna get you the Amazon Basics crossbody.
Thank you. For $3, $3.50.
Maybe.
What's up with that? I'm just kidding. What's the
Yes.
deal? Well, yeah, the last thing I wanted to say about the vesting hoopla was that you said it at the end, and I just can't, and you said it as well, and now I want to say it, is that it's not this devious thing. It's and to think that if someone leaves a company they started, that they're bad. That's not a direct correlation, but it's just if we started it and you had a kid 6 months in when we weren't making any money, there's a pretty high chance you may have been I got to go get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go just be on salary at a big company. And that's is what it is. It's not, we wouldn't think less of you. We'd still love you.
Yeah, that's good.
You could still have an oat milk latte from us.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that goes back to, it's not even necessarily it wouldn't even be protecting us and our equity.
Mm-hmm.
It's more protecting the company and the company's well-being. And that's what we constantly look to. And I think that's one of the best tips. You want to be people-based. You want to give your guests the best experience. You want to give your employees a great place to work. But you have values and vision so that your company is always kept in a state of well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So things like a vesting schedule is for the company's well-being.
Yeah. Maybe the last thing I'll say in the tips department, and if you guys want to say anything too, please jump in, would be to we were just talking about picking your lanes, you don't have to be all things for all people. And we talk about that a lot, and that I think it's a pretty direct correlation to your dream becoming a reality is if you're able to do what you love and not overextend from the get-go. So this isn't a wholesale plug or anything, but these people want to do a pretty high focus on baking. And they're like, should we get into roasting right out of the gate too? We haven't had a food and service establishment before. We haven't had a commercial baking program before. We've never roasted coffee before. It's like, that's not, if you took on all three of those, that's like a tough thing. And obviously we took on food service establishment and roasting. I can imagine how much harder it would be if we like spent another, $200K on a baking facility, hired a whole baking team and had someone leading out there too. I mean, if you got the money and the resources,
sounds kind of awesome.
It's all like an in due time thing as well.
Absolutely. Because I mean, if we could have had a cafe and a roastery right out of the gate, we would have.
Yeah.
But we bummed other people's spaces for forever.
Right. Long time.
I think that's a huge trend. Anyone in specialty coffee has probably seen this, where someone's starting a coffee shop and they're like, yeah, we'll probably start roasting, like a year in or whatever, because that's just what you do. Mm-hmm. And I think, to your baking, roasting, retail, merch, like all these different avenues that you can pursue with a coffee shop, like it kind of just depends on how good you want it to be. Because I don't really think you can, at least for us, we weren't ready to have like an actual roastery until our cafe was like awesome to our standards. And so it's like we technically could have raised a certain amount of money to do a cafe, a roastery, and a bakery right from the beginning, but all three wouldn't have been very good. Right. And I think it's defining success of like, back to the values thing. Like if you value excellence in your business, then you are going to prioritize excellence over growth sometimes. But if you value growth, then you will not prioritize excellence as much. I've seen a lot of, as the head of wholesale, I've seen a lot of people, talking to people that want to start cafes. Like, yeah, we can, use Valor for a while and help get us started, but eventually we want to roast. And I think that is a viable path for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But do you have enough owners to do that? Do you have enough invested people to even pull that off, let alone do it well? Wow. Mm-hmm. Simple thing, but I feel like that is true.
And a lot of these things can just go, I think someone mentioned this earlier, but a lot of them can just go unsaid. They're simple, but they're unspoken. And for us, it was nice. I don't think we really got down to the nitty gritty until maybe a couple years in. But I think that's where a lot of trouble ensues, is if you don't become aligned on these really simple foundational parts of are we in? How many years are we going to give this to work? Because it wasn't working for us for 2-3 years since we started. It wasn't like we said we were going to have a coffee shop one day and it happened. We got rejected several times. Yeah. And we got told no several times, and it's just are we still all together on this? Are we still going to keep trying?
I think that goes into an excellent next tip. And it's, don't start your company based on ideas that have no realistic backing. So one of our biggest ideas and plans when we ran our Kickstarter was that we were going to have a pop-up. This is funny and random, and it's just very telling of how inexperienced and
awesome
delusional we were.
Delusional.
We were like, we're going to have a pop-up shop in Citizen Supply at Ponce City Market.
Oh, right. That was a cornerstone.
Yeah, we had no connection with them, never discussed this with them. It was just, we thought it was a good idea. And I think in reality, there was a non-compete sign there with...
Spiller?
Spiller or Revelator or whatever was before Revelator there or whatever.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a possibility at that point. Let alone, like, would it have been a good idea? Who knows? It was just, it seemed like it was almost the path of least resistance. It's like, we're going to have a pop-up. Where can we put it? Oh, a hipster store. And people will come and buy our cortados.
We'll only sell cortados.
Yeah. So
I remember I walked into Citizen Supply, and because I was like gonna go talk to them about our big idea, and I just walked up to like whatever random associate was behind the register, and I was like, "Hey, I'm with Valor Coffee," and I remember we just had our business cards printed, and of course, in true Big T fashion, they were like thick boys, like thick, debossed business cards with our mountain logo.
Featured.
And
logo.
yeah, I think I pitched the idea to this random person behind the counter, and they were like, yeah, here's who you need to talk to. And they like handed me a card. And I reached out to them, and it was like, yeah, we have a non-compete.
Entire dreams just crumbled
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a moment.
And we're
Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
That was our whole plan.
And then we pivoted to, we're going to do events at the World Congress Center
Yeah, that's right.
because we had a plug there.
Yep.
And then it was kind of like the same thing, but we sold out on that idea. So especially when we get a lot of questions about starting coffee carts and pop-ups. Just have some structure, have some things lined up. I would say you don't have to go too crazy on that because a part of the fun is, I don't know.
like the resiliency.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you're starting this mobile operation, so you can not be tied to one place. But it's probably a good idea to have a couple irons in the fire instead of just like, we're going to be at Citizen Supply.
Yeah, before even talking to it. But to fact check you, I mean, my wife's small group leader's husband did start Citizen Supply. So, I mean, there's a deep connection right
Amazing.
there.
Yeah. Direct connection.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, hey, Phil, it's Ethan. You know?
First name basis.
Ethan. Huh? I don't know.
Evan?
Evan? Nathan? Is that you? Yeah. That's a great point, is some sort of like, because you can get things rolling before you put money in. You can talk to people, have a conversation with a spot. Like, I want to pop up. Can I make coffee here? Can I definitely do it? Do you want to like sign some paperwork here? And then you can get rolling. Thankfully, it worked out, and then we learned different lessons through that, right? Kind of what we were talking about of getting told no and hitting a lot of walls. We're like pinballs. But then we landed in Alpharetta.
That's right.
Come on. That was a question they asked me. How are we doing on time?
We're good.
Okay. It's probably just because I have to pee. I was like, this thing's wrapping up. 'Cause I have to go to the bathroom.
Here we go again.
We're about to wrap, so this will be the last thing for sure. They were like, why Alpharetta? And it's funny when someone, like, I think obviously we just gave, like, I would say some pretty good advice, right? Like, we've actually learned things that are helpful to share, but there's so many things that were just like reactive and very circumstantial where I don't have oh yeah, this is why this happened for sure. So they were like, why Alpharetta? I was like, it just happened. We were just working. Did we talk about this last week? Yeah, we're just working an event. Someone comes with an opportunity, and someone had come to us with 24 opportunities before that didn't work out.
That's true.
But this one just worked, and then we ended up in a random city that none of us, it was close, but none of us were associated with.
I had never been to downtown Alpharetta.
And you lived like 40 minutes away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alpharetta was just, growing up as a kid, it was North Point Mall.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had definitely never spent any significant time hanging out there.
Yeah. And no disrespect.
Yeah.
Absolutely no disrespect to the
there
city.
was nothing there before, but
I did go once for a food truck night, and I sat outside of the now open gluten-free bakery, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And I was like, "Oh, Alpharetta." But yeah, sometimes you expect to hear a bunch of strategy for reasons, but sometimes you really do just like fall into things, and we really fell into Alpharetta, which is wonderful. And I don't think there's just some sort of measure of mystery to opening a business. You don't know exactly how it's going to pan out.
Well, yeah, it's interesting now looking for our second location.
Wish we would just fall into something again. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I wish we would. We didn't have to go through this process of, pestering a real estate agent to find us some good location because the Alpharetta spot was just handed to us. So this time, like trying to actually go through the process of finding good real estate for a coffee shop, like it's our first time doing it, even though we have a cafe. Mm-hmm. It's been tough,
except for the HQ space, which is just a completely different type of thing.
Yeah, warehouse.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, and so as much planning and strategy and like vision alignment you have, there's always just going to be a level of unexpected circumstance and mystery, which is also part of the fun, because now looking back, right, it's like, we wouldn't have it any other way. Alfred is a wonderful place to have a coffee shop, and we're so grateful and thankful to have put like over 4 years of daily business there.
except for below ground grease traps.
Yeah, we got some qualms, lack of underground grease traps, and that's our fault. That's just
you learn by experience.
Oh, that could be a tip. Put your grease traps underground. Spend the money.
Yeah.
Spend the money.
Or just find a space that has grease traps already.
Come on.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Any other in cafe things? Have a big bar. We've been constricted by, you want to save money going in and get a small space so rent's lower, but you got to make drinks. You got to have space.
Spend the money on the tile backsplash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do the FRP thing.
I kind of like it. You can Sharpie on it or Expo marker.
Sharpie on it.
Yeah.
Well, we were under this mentality of have a smaller bar because it's going to take less steps to get to everything you need to.
Right.
But we didn't really expect to be as busy as we are.
Right.
And on a Saturday or Sunday, we have 5 people behind that tiny bar. And so there comes a point where it's too small. So, don't.
Yeah, and more people make it worse. Right.
Right. But you can't do it without 5 on a busy day. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, it's a balance between not being so big that you prioritize design over function, and you put your espresso machine way over near the door so people can see it, but then you have your batch brewer way in the back. Like there's a balance between that form and function for a bar.
We've seen some cafes where you have to take like 4 steps between your grinder and your espresso machine. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that looks pretty.
Pretty dumb. Suckers.
But your customers are going to be waiting like 4 extra seconds for their oat milk latte.
That's right. 4 seconds
This
adds up.
podcast is brought to you by oat milk lattes.
We've mentioned oat milk lattes a lot.
We have.
I love them, man.
How about any specific tips within the realm of, and I just want to be clear to our listeners,
Fans.
we will sprinkle opening coffee shop tips, coffee tips throughout. So this is not an exclusive. This is an inclusive podcast.
Amen.
This isn't an exclusive how to start a coffee shop podcast. Maybe we'll have one of those. I don't know. But these are just a few random things we're hitting on. Yeah. With that being said, do you guys have any tips as far as specifically coffee brewing related things? I mean, I know for us, we started and we were like, we aren't going to do pour overs because they take too long. Mm-hmm. But transparently now, we're like, man, I kind of miss filter brewed by the cup coffee. So should we add a couple seraphims?
What's a seraphim? For the fans. I know.
A seraphim is a machine made by William Curtis.
Wilbur. Wilbur Curtis.
Sorry, Wilbur, and family. It is made by Wilbur Curtis, and it makes an automatic pour over of your choosing.
Single serve.
Single serve. So at the end of the day, we're like, should we just pivot and go in that direction? But we'd have to install it and get a plumber out there and do all that stuff.
And our bar's small.
Yeah.
Space.
So I don't know where I was going with that. That's just an example of our mistake. But any specific tips towards coffee brewing that we do a certain way that we like or that we don't do that we wish we did?
I really like having a ton of portafilters around.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't necessarily, I could be wrong. My knowledge of coffee shops across America is not unlimited. But I feel like I don't see a ton of shops with 6 portafilters behind the bar.
Absolutely.
We actually have 8, right?
Flex. Yeah.
So, because we have
that's a lot of money in portafilters, which sucks.
it's like $1,000
Yeah.
in portafilters.
Can we just say the word portaflex? Because that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a
to me.
portaflex, baby.
That's a portaflex.
We have a 3-group machine, and so a 3-group machine comes with 3 portafilters. But I think really it should come with 5 or 6, because whenever we learned this from being in the cart, actually, because with the cart we had a La Marzocco GS3, and it was just one group, and so we only had one portafilter in the beginning. So you would grind a shot of espresso with your portafilter, redistribute, tamp, lock it in, and then the 26 seconds while that is brewing, you could be having another portafilter, drying it out, getting it, going for the next shot, grinding. Yeah. And we would do some serious volume on that one group machine because of that. We wouldn't have been able to do the volume we did if we didn't have 2 portafilters. And now we grind 3 portafilters at a time or 2 portafilters at a time and tamp them, lock them in, and then get the next 3 rolling. Mm-hmm. And also, when you pull a shot of espresso, it can sit for a little while. You don't have to immediately use the shot of espresso as soon as it's done brewing, because there's that myth that after a certain amount of seconds the shot dies on the bar or whatever, and that is one segment I really want to do in the future is do a comprehensive test of this, how long does it take for you to be able to perceive a difference, a shot sitting there lukewarm for 15 minutes versus a fresh shot. You make a cappuccino with both. Does it taste different?
Or pouring it over ice shocks it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but
yeah.
I've heard that.
That's our Mythbusters corner with Sam.
Sam,
yeah.
Smoother.
Snake eyes.
That's right, snake eyes. But yeah, I mean, whenever we have a line out the door, we don't wait until the drink comes in to pull the shot. I mean, we have someone on our brewer position, which is making all the bases for the drinks, espresso, matcha, tea, all that stuff. They are just pulling shots until kingdom come. And it doesn't even matter if not all of them immediately get used for a drink, especially if you're just slinging iced lattes.
Do you want me to back this up with a little science real quick? A little science lesson?
Sure.
Well, first off, we tried what you just said. We didn't make a cappuccino, but we've been bringing on some new people, and you're explaining these kind of theories, and it's okay, well, actually, let's just make an espresso and set it on the shelf, set a 15-minute timer, and come back and drink it. I was like, yeah, this is still super solid. The biggest thing is temperature, right? You wouldn't maybe make a cortado or a cappuccino or something small because the temp is just going to be lower. But So when you extract coffee, the water and the minerals in the water take the flavor and start to dissolve the coffee into the liquid. And what happens is you still have tiny particulates in your solution, like in your brew. So there's still little pieces of coffee called colloids in the coffee. And if that stays hot, it's going to keep extracting in the water. Like your coffee will continue to extract because there's little bits of coffee still in your coffee, if that makes sense. There's little solids. So that's why people always complain about, old coffee, diner coffee, all having the same kind of taste because it's all just starting to taste over extracted.
That's why some people complain about cold brew.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, because there's definitely colloids in that. It's just hanging out for a long time. So with drip, you have and people give it a long time. They let drip hang out for an hour, 2 hours, and still call it good, which I'm all for that. But with espresso, it's cooling. I understand that there's going to be a lot more colloids because you have a metal filter versus a paper. You have 10 times strength. But yeah, it's going to take a lot to get that in a really rough spot in a really long time.
I think in our Mythbusters segment, we should have someone check filter brew and, I'm sure someone's done this in the past, but we can do it too. Check, a drip or pour over or whatever, and refractometer, extraction percentage, test it over a certain period of time, and then do the same thing with espresso and see how much no paper filter speeds the process and whatnot. That would be really fun.
That sounds fun. We love this stuff. The little coffee tip I was going to offer to resonate or bounce off of Ross's was kind of the same principle, but with air pots, like your drip coffee. A lot of shops let their drip run out. So you filled up your pot of coffee, you serve, it runs out, and then you have to rinse it out or put it back under your drip brewer and make that again. And it's a 10-minute gap. And you typically run out of drip at the worst possible times. And so to make you have to wait another 10 minutes to get a cup of Joe is lame. And you could just spend a whopping $60. I don't know, $100. I don't know how much these things cost anymore.
The AirPods?
Are they more expensive?
The Curtis AirPods are $300.
It's like a utility cart.
But you can also get cheaper AirPods.
Yeah. Right. But that's huge. It's just
extra stuff
that you can be doing the same thing while your other piece of equipment is fulfilling the same task. It's cool because
redundancy.
Yeah, we love being redundant. Guys, I have to pee.
I think that's a good place to wrap. It's been fun, boys.
I'm glad that we could do this without Dave. I was scared.
Dave was an excellent...
an anchor point, if you would.
Yeah.
He was hardly even a guest. He really did a lot of mediating, officiating.
Someone's going to listen to that podcast first and then listen to the second one and be like,
what's missing?
Where's the cool guy?
Right.
Yeah, where's
the guy wearing the index finger ring,
Right.
Where are the rings? We have rings, okay? They just all happen to be on the same finger and made of the same material. Gold? You guys all have gold rings?
Solid gold, baby.
Yeah, mine's a mixture of 10 karat and 24 karat because it was from two different rings.
They melted
rings
down.
My parents, one was my mom's, one was my dad's, melted down into my ring. How about that?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
24 karat magic in the air.
All right, boys. It's been fun.
Love you.
Love you. Thanks for listening.